We also looked at particular strategies that might go with the whole school approaches, like consideration of particular aspects of teaching. On the list, you probably remember the list I had, there was about 5 things. When I was reporting back to the teachers in this elite school afterwards, by the way, it was almost exactly the same problem in the Indigenous schools. The teachers had so many problems they hadn't bothered to sort of say, well, one solution would be to make the stuff interesting or to teach well. But in the elite school, I said there were 5 things about good teaching. And I said none of them do 4 of them. You know, so that it seems to me that there are actually fundamental things that you can do that can make your teaching better. And I think that's one, I was actually suggesting that's one of the things that you could focus on in your whole school approaches to numeracy. Now, Lena's going to come in a while, and she's got a fancy little brochure about Northern Metro Region planning. Have you seen it? I haven't, but it's a really nice brochure. And obviously, the region is taking a significant step towards this type of planning, and they're calling it numeracy. Now, numeracy, in the case of primary schools, is sort of, you know, a bit less ambiguous. In the case of secondary schools, it's ambiguous. And you have to make a decision about what it means for your school. I guess my view would be this, that, oh, hang on, it's being taped, I better be careful. My view is this, is that the school needs a numeracy plan, but it sort of has to be embedded in the maths plan. And the maths people are the people who have to do the numeracy plan and somehow enact it. But you can't, if you like, ignore numeracy, but you have to somehow connect it to mathematics. Now, that's my view. I'm not sure whether that's Wayne Craig's view or even Lena's. We'll be able to ask Lena in a minute when she gets here to do that. But certainly, I would think, as part of your plan, you should think about whole school approaches to numeracy. I think one of the other things we talked about last time was whole school approaches to thinking about tasks and teaching. We talked about that. We looked at some examples of tasks, we looked at some examples of teaching, and we also looked at whole school approach improvement by collaborative planning of units, and to do that. And so that's what we did last time. Oh, okay, so I'll show you what we're planning to do this time. We're going to develop a school numeracy and mathematics plan. That's what, in a sense, the outcome of the program. By the end of next week, we're meant to have that. Now, you're going to have a plan. Sorry, you're going to have to develop a plan. That's, so one way or another, whether I help or don't help by these 2 days, whether you use this time efficiently, you're going to have a plan. But by the way, it's not having a plan, it's doing a plan. So having a plan and putting it in the cupboard's not helpful, it's doing the plan that's going to be the helpful thing. And we're going to model a process for development. In a sense, we'll assume that you are the whole of your maths staff, or the people who are just in numeracy here, and in a sense, but you have to do it again back in the school, because you've got to get everyone involved in it. It's no good just you turning up with a plan and doing it. So we're going to sort of model this process. There's actually 2 other things that we haven't talked about that I'd sort of planned, and we'll probably get to this next week, or it might even be this afternoon. To take a whole school approach to thinking about lessons and teaching, that's one of the things that we do, and take a whole school approach to using data effectively. That's another thing we could do. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to this. I want to review last week a bit, but can I just explain? You probably forgot, I have to leave early today, and the idea was we're going to finish at 2:30. So at 2:30, I'll be gone. I'm not sure where you'll be, but I'll be gone. Now I think Lena is sort of keen that you use the time to help keep working on the plan. And so you're most welcome to stay here after I've gone, but just so that we know, we're going to have morning tea at 10:30 and then lunch at 12:30. Okay, but and I actually forget exactly how. I know we worked on units of work and we had some examples of units of work, and I think I gave you examples to do that. I was hoping you were actually going to go through the process in your school of doing a little bit of planning, about a unit of work. And what I'd like you to do now is just talk about your table at what you have done. Did you do anything about planning a unit of work between then and now? And if so, just talk about it. So can you talk at your table first, and then we'll get to share some experiences after. Okay, can I interrupt those discussions? Okay, I'd just like to hear a couple of people raise some issues that came up with there. If I could just talk about an issue that came up just at the end here. Are you all Preston girls? All of it? Okay. This is a group from Preston girls. There's a couple of teaching and learning coaches and a handful of Year 7 teachers. And as you can see, they're all really young. And so, it's extremely to say. And they're saying, how do we deal with this issue of how do we take it back to our school and do something with it? Now, my view is that, in effect, the school has delegated to them the authority to actually lead the development of a plan because they sent them here. And so, what I guess I'm trying to say to you, by the way, one of the things about leadership, I've been to a number of the leadership programs, and there's a really important thing to do that. You probably think your principal is, I won't ask what you think of your principal, but you probably think your principal is, runs the show, can do whatever he or she likes, is in control of everything, and just that's the peak of decision making. If we had the principals here, like a room full of principals, they all think, they've got no power over everything. Everyone tells them what to do. They're trying to keep the regional director happy and the Minister for Education happy and the parents happy, and they never get to do anything they want because someone's always telling them what to do. And then if we got Wayne Craig and the other regional directors here, they'd say, we never get to do whatever we like because the Minister's always on our wheel and the principals are on our wheel and we're worried about the news. So everyone feels like they're a little bit powerless. And so what you have to do is you have to take the power, seize the power and do it. So that what I guess I'd be saying to you guys is you've been given the authority, develop a plan to do it. Now, they then have the problem of, just like these maths teachers I was talking to you about yesterday, that, why would they change? The kids never muck around. They get pretty awful VCE results given how well behaved the kids are and how much they start above the state means in Year 7. Their VCE results are awful, but they don't connect that to their teaching, and so working with them is going to be a difficult thing. But in a sense, what I'd be saying is you don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is develop a plan, because the plan will include action, and it's the action that's going to have the effect of getting them to challenge their practices. So that you don't actually have to challenge their practices. All you have to do is make the plan to do that. But do you want to make a comment about what I said then? I just thought it was a really interesting question. I'm sure everyone will experience it in one way or another. And it's quite right, actually. If there are people who are resistant to even the process of talking about it, like whose responsibility is to do that? You can't say, well, if you don't come and do this, I'm going to let your car tyres down or something. You can't say that. What can you do?